160th night, the fourth and final matchup. Indiana Fever and the Atlanta Dream. The taste out of their mouth from a difficult 8 Valkyries. Here's Caitlin Clark on the Boston, and she's got Brittney Griner, got a piece. Jordan Canada, one of the quickest players in laying it in. Well, you got to see here. Oh, I'm looking for help.
Have you ever watched a team on the brink of collapse only to see them rise in the most spectacular fashion? Have you ever felt that electric charge in the air when every player on the court decides it's time to remind everyone why they're here? Woohoo! That's a fun dump. That's how you bounce back, baby. Consistency. Every time they made a run, the Fever answered. They stepped up to the challenge. Their defense was relentless, they self-corrected when mistakes crept in, communication sparked on the floor at every turn, multiple levels of effort showed, and they were connected on both ends.
Down to 4, she finds it in her bank shot, MVP caliber year to start 20. Jones backs inside, spins God Canada, who knocks down a 3BA. Under Carl's your head coach, revolutionize this offense and knock it down with the best of them. The all-time Fever friend by Tamika Catchings as Canada scoops it up. Good defense.
After 2 straight embarrassing losses to teams they should have dominated, the Indiana Fever walked into Gainbridge Fieldhouse against the Atlanta Dream, with everyone questioning if this team was falling apart. Caitlin Clark had just returned from injury, rumors swirled about heated arguments between her and coach Stephanie White, and Brittney Griner's nasty comments about Clark from their last meeting still hung in the air. But what happened next wasn't just a win, it was a declaration of intent. The Fever didn't merely beat the Dream, they pulverized them 99-82 in a performance that reminded fans why this squad still harbors championship aspirations. If you support the Fever, then comment, "I've got the Fever, let's go, baby."
Defense by Hull, but Jones, for second field goal percentage, held to just % against goals. And Ryan Howard, third all-stars, is coming next past McDonald, and a good fight.
That's just a great fake and then dump it off for the on the curl.
As Canada gets to the rim.
They got to do a better job of guarding about the action.
Hot for the Fever defensively.
Picture this. The Fever had just suffered back-to-back losses to the LA Sparks and the Golden State Valkyries, 2 teams they should have dispatched with ease. Instead, disjointed offense and passive defense left the scoreboard reading the wrong way. The groin injury that sidelined Caitlin Clark threw the entire rotation into chaos, and DeWanna Bonner's absence overseas only compounded the problem. Players shuffled positions. Rotations that once clicked now clanged. The team's rhythm vanished. Frustration seeped into every play. Everyone could feel it, the season teetering on the brink. Yet, in that moment of uncertainty, a spark flickered. Clark's return loomed large, promising a shift in pace and purpose. Coach White's desire for a slow, methodical grind clashed with Clark's push for a fast break showcase. Those differences boiled over in practice, erupting into fierce debates that underscored the stakes. No longer was this about comfort or style, it was about survival. And come game night, the Fever would demonstrate that when they lock in, nobody can match their intensity.
As Mitchell is home of 3 by Gray.
Really good Gray.
There's Howard into Griner.
This is her 9th game with it.
Just the second playing with Caitlin Clark. For a pass, Cunningham hauls it in. Austin with a shot clock. Cunningham tries to create and knocks down a 3.
Should have been luck.
Clark hesitates.
As the opening tip soared, the Fever moved like a coiled spring, ready to explode. Clark dashed up the court, threading impossible passes and daring defenders to keep up. Sophie Cunningham spearheaded the defensive charge, crashing the boards, diving for loose balls, and refusing to yield an inch. Kelsey Mitchell lit up the perimeter, raining down triples that left the crowd howling. Every possession felt choreographed, every cut precise. The Dream, so confident just days before, found themselves chasing shadows. Their looks from 3 clanged off the rim, and every Clark drive ended with a foul or a flourish. By halftime, Indiana had built a lead so commanding that chants of Fever reverberated through the arena. It wasn't just the score, it was the statement. This team, once wobbling on the edge, had found its identity, and it was beautiful.
Lays it in. Caitlin Clark's got 4, 1 assist, 1 rebound here in the first. Howard, kick out, and kick with a 3. Quarter for Jordan Cannon, points. Howard flips it in with a 2 points going for Gray. That was just her second shot. Dantas connects.
The locker room at halftime buzzed like a beehive. Clark and White huddled, voices low but fierce. Gone were the telegraphed missteps and hesitant calls. Out went passive ball stopping and timid footwork. In came urgency, trust, and a shared blueprint for domination. When the second half began, it felt like a different sport. The Fever outscored Atlanta 59-37 in those 24 minutes, nearly doubling their output and tying their highest scoring half of the season. Every pass was crisp, every cut was decisive, every rebound was contested. Clark dished 9 assists, proving her value beyond scoring. Cunningham grabbed 10 boards, cementing her role as the engine on both ends. Mitchell poured in 25 points, a relentless reminder that you can't rattle this group with talk alone. And when Brittney Griner dared to threaten Clark, the former All-Star found herself on the wrong end of every spotlight.
Everything's okay.
Caldwell drives on Cunningham, move. Caldwell with the... Mitchell crosses up inside and lays it in. Take off here after that groin injury. Canada, who hits her third three of the first, a second possession here for Indiana. Dangerous pass by Caldwell, jumps the passing lane and lays it in.
The roar of the crowd didn't die down after that crushing second half. It built into a sustained chant that echoed off every wall of Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Fans on their feet, arms locked in unity, sang as one. Fever, fever, fever. That electric buzz wasn't just noise, it was validation. Indiana had proven it could withstand turmoil, clash with heated egos, and still simmer to perfection. Every dribble, every screen, every contested shot carried more weight than...
Anytime you make that flat,
There's Canada with the shot clock down. Runs into a wall, forces it up, and gets 8 players on the floor who have played in an All-Star in Canada. Not one of them, but had the best game. Howard trying to spin away from Hillman. Lost pass into traffic. Mitchell pulls it down and leads to Jordan Canada, who's been red hot.
When the dust settled, the Fever didn't retreat into complacency. Instead, they double-checked every detail. Video sessions turned into film school for opponents' weaknesses. Practice intensity rose to a new level. No more half-hearted scrimmages, every drill felt like a playoff series. Coach White's voice carried extra urgency in the gym, reminding the team that one explosive night doesn't define a season. It's consistency that writes the final chapter.
Misses there. Rebound, Canada tries again and connects. Clark trying to answer for Indiana. The Hex right with her. Launches and hit down, and here is Clark. Clark Joel with the reverse. Clark clicking. They've proven they are, if not in the WNBA. But Jordan
Looking ahead, Indiana faces a brutal stretch of 7 games in 10 days. That schedule could break lesser teams, but the Fever wear these challenges as badges of honor. Travel, back-to-backs, and hostile arenas won't rattle them. They know their formula now: trust each other, play with relentless effort, and let the talent flow. If fatigue shows, they'll lean on bench depth, those reserves who rip down rebounds and knock down open threes in garbage time. This team, once fragmented, now shares a collective purpose, stronger than any single star's desire.
She'll answer. It's a good old-fashioned shootout.
Canada, go ahead, set yourself up for another.
Griner on the runner. That's the roll.
The offense.
Lost the handle. Guess who with the steal? Jordan Canada.
Absolutely.
Does she have 6?
Come on.
Canada red hot here in the first half. Up with the steal. Here's Canada.
Off the court, chemistry flourished too. Locker room banter turned supportive rather than sarcastic jabs. Players who once glared at each other now shared meals, swapped playlists, and challenged one another to push harder. That bond translated to seamless rotations, timing on cuts, and instinctive help defense. It wasn't forced, it was real, and in pro sports, authenticity on a team often shows where scripted unity fails.
Back to Hillman, Hillman floats it in. 8-point first half, Canada. 6 of 10 from the 3 here tonight. Turns the corner, gets inside, bounces Howard. That's been a challenge for her. It's been for the Fever. Brianna Jones working the baseline. All pulls it down. 3 blue jersey teeth of the defense. Clark fading and hit.
Consider the rise of rookie guard Isaiah Moore. He earned spot minutes by hustling, drawing charges, sprinting back on defense, and hitting one clutch 3-director that tilted momentum. Moore's emergence reminded everyone that stars don't shine alone. They need a constellation of role players ready to strike at opportune moments. Indiana is stocked with those supporting sparks, each awaiting their cue under the brightest pressure. Meanwhile, Brittney Griner's camp scrambled. After watching Griner's taunts backfire, fueling the very fire she hoped to dampen, Atlanta realized they'd handed Indiana the perfect motivational tool. Now the Dream are retooling their defense, promising fines and investigations, but the damage is done. The narrative has shifted, Griner's words rebound on her. Indiana's unity thrives on such slights, turning petty trash talk into unstoppable grit.
Back to Hillman. Canada floats in. A 26 Canada. 6 of 10 from the three here tonight. Side bounces. Howard who flips it in. Right, and that's been a challenge for the Fever. Jones working the baseline beautifully. All into the teeth of the defense. Clark fading and hit.
Statisticians will marvel at that 77% assist rate, but analytics can't capture the unquantifiable cohesion in that locker room. Data points hint at chemistry, but they don't define it. True teamwork shows when fatigue sets in and players still dive for loose balls. It appears when a weary veteran throws an alley-oop pass to ignite the bench. Chemistry is felt, not merely measured, and the Fever conjured that intangible spark on game night and cultivated it every day since. Now, the WNBA landscape has a new power center, Indiana. Opponents once circled the Pacers with no fear of women's basketball in Indianapolis. Not anymore. Teams now film clips of Fever highlights to study their spacing and rotations. They practice defending Clark's signature pull-up dribble and zone schemes to slow down Cunningham's relentless cuts. Every opponent now steps onto that court bristling with anticipation, not dismissal.
Factories.
Good position on Howard.
Griner go inside.
Not a good look, and she's frustrated with herself there. Canada the other direction. Indiana Lee Howard from Clark range.
It's outstanding.
Arlo to get up. Kelsey Mitchell, the baseline, lays it in. Have not been called for a foul.
Yet skepticism still clings to sports. They got hot, critics say, just one good night, but skeptics forget the concept of momentum. It's not luck, it's earned through repetition, sweat equity, and a refusal to settle. The Fever's victory over Atlanta was a climax of months of work, of complaining, arguing, questioning, and refining. That hard-nosed process isn't glamorous, but it's how champions are forged. Mid-season injuries still loom as a threat. One tweak, one sprain can unravel any team. Indiana knows this all too well after Clark's groin issue. Now medical staff and strength coaches have doubled their vigilance. Recovery protocols run like military drills. Ice baths, targeted stretches, and load management sessions fill the daily agenda. They treat each body as a sacred instrument. Without it, the masterpiece of teamwork falters.
A cutting hole. Assist. Griner spinning on the Griner, who's still a little hobbled. I think it'll be a tour here in Indy 1 week from today. Gray rises and hits a Caitlin Clark, who's played 7, back on the bench for Indiana. Ari McDonald, Boston. Here's Cunningham, buries a 3. Now 2 of 2 from the three-point line.
Community engagement also surged. After that Atlanta game, season ticket holders reported record high satisfaction. Local youth camps saw a spike in registrations inspired by Clark's infectious energy. Street basketball programs in Bloomington and Evansville now mandate studying Fever offense clips. The ripple effect extends beyond box scores, planting seeds for the next generation of players who want to emulate that combination of skill and heart. On the strategic front, Coach White tweaked the offensive playbook to feature more backdoor cuts and flare screens for Mitchell. She recognized that once opponents overcommit to Clark, the defense collapses, leaving shooters open. Exploiting gravity in basketball is as old as the game itself, but White reintroduced it with fresh wrinkles. Simplicity married innovation, another nod to a traditional outlook that values fundamentals while embracing calculated tweaks.
An answer!
Even with...
You're wearing that big Donald, bouncing, Howard floating. Howard and hits another 3. A couple here tonight. Shot clock down to 5. Finds the Boston screen. That's a deep. Rolls around and stays down.
Defense, however, became the real calling card. Indiana implemented a switch every screen scheme that neutralized the Dream's pick and roll assault. They communicated on every switch, with players calling out matchups before screens even unfolded. That kind of telepathy takes hours of drilling, and Indiana logged those hours. The result was a defensive fortress that suffocated Atlanta's half-court sets, provoking rush shots and turnovers. As the season grinds on, the Fever will face trap schemes and junk defenses designed to slow them down. This time, they're ready. Film study exposed where those traps break down. Primary ball handlers lack passing lanes when help collapses properly. Indiana countered that by drilling skip passes and rapid ball rotations. Their reps now include no dribble pocket passes and one myth swings. When traps arrive, they simply scream skip and swing it.
McDonald drops it. Cunningham. Screen there with McDonald. Circles around. Handoff Clark. Tied. Shot clock down to 5. Flips it up. Gets it to go. McDonald puts on the brakes and hits from the mid-range. So it's a 4-point.
It's you.
But here's the uncomfortable truth. No team runs unscathed through an entire season. Other contenders like Connecticut and Las Vegas possess offensive titans and championship pedigrees. Those matchups will test the Fever's mettle far more than Atlanta did. Will Indiana's newfound swagger hold up against consistent pressure? Will rookies maintain their poise when crowd noise spikes in hostile arenas? Those questions only history can answer. One thing is certain, the Fever won't shy away from skepticism. Doubters sharpen their arguments, and this squad feeds on that edge. Each criticism becomes fuel. They can't sustain fast breaks. Their defense is gimmicky. Indiana latches onto each slight and converts it into preparation. Doubt is less a barrier than a propellant for further growth.
Loud tonight.
Clark draws the foul. Late.
We're very close.
Griner with a bank shot. Clark, shot clock down to 4. Boston 10 hits. Before it's all said and done, Atlanta. And just like that,
In the league where financial disparities persist and every new dawn in the WNBA brings fresh challenges, and the Fever now stand as a team that refuses to shrink from them. Opponents will circle on the schedule, eager to dismantle Indiana's fast break and tight rotations. Yet the Fever have proven that they can turn every scouting report into a pep talk, every game plan into a rallying cry. When teams load the paint to stop Clark's drives, Mitchell will leak out to the arc. If defenses gamble on her sharpshooting, Cunningham will cut under the rim for thunderous putbacks. It is this layers of offense approach that keeps defenses guessing and the Fever in control. Fatigue might whisper its doubts as the calendar turns to August and September. Back-to-backs test both will and body, but this roster has built an armor of trust. Bench players like rookie forward Taylor Jones will be called on to provide instant energy, diving for loose balls and sparking transition bursts. Veterans understand that their legs must conserve energy, timing every sprint and crash of the glass. When bodies tire, the collective spirit remains unbreakable, fueled by that unforgettable night against Atlanta. This unity, more than any playbook, becomes the ultimate weapon.
Mark this season.
Yeah, Coffey playing her first minutes here tonight. And Canada gets to the rim. She had the 20. Here's McDonald off the mark on a 3. Cunningham coming out of nowhere to get the offensive rebound. And Boston cashes in. Down by 8 early, looked out of sorts. And a nice finish.
On the defensive end, the Fever switch every screen philosophy faces its sternest tests. Star centers in other arenas will challenge Cunningham and Boston with size mismatches that demand help rotations. Indiana will answer with staggered traps and drop-back coverage that funnel ball handlers into traffic jams. Communication on switches will sharpen further, each player shouting out matchups before they even form. Turnovers will follow as a natural consequence, converting stops into easy buckets. This defensive identity will define the Fever as more than a high-scoring outlier. It will brand them as a two-way force. Mid-season trades and injury returns loom as plot twists in the unfolding Fever story. Should another key scorer arrive, rotations will tighten to a lethal 9 or 10, maximizing each talent with surgical precision. Lost bodies returning will find a system already humming, making integration smoother than a mid-season scoreless drought. Conditioning staff stand by, ready to monitor load and prevent setbacks. Strength coaches will fine-tune each program, ensuring every player steps onto the court feeling invincible. That preparation shines through in clutch fourth-quarter stands and comeback sprees.
Cunningham, exclamation point! Seal, fire ahead, Donald coast to coast.
Trapping horns.
And connects on a three.
Now is the time to lock in on this journey. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, crush that like button, and declare in the comments, "I've got the fever." Join the movement as Indiana writes the next chapter of its story, one filled with grit, unity, and pure, unfiltered excitement. Don't miss a single moment of this electrifying ride. The Fever are just getting started, and you'll want to be there for every spectacular play.